So, ladies and gentlemen, we've had an interesting evening. Ben and Elena had to leave because of personal issues that came up. So we're carrying on for one more video. This one here.
We should say everything is fine.
No, everything's fine.
Yeah.
No, everything's fine.
Nobody
it's just a lot. It's just Ben with work and everything. He's not been able to get much sleep, and plus, he was. I believe he was getting a little bit of a headache as well. So
a lot of horrible job stress.
Yeah. So we're letting him head home for the night. Let him get some rest, and here's to hoping he feels better. But until then, we decided that we would do a Nostalgia Critic video that has been very hotly requested, especially since it first came out. Damn fly. Sorry. Well, I was going to say, I hate having that problem, especially in like a confined space like this, because we had that problem in the basement that one time, remember? And you went ninja with that fly swatter, just like...
For some reason, I don't know, like, they just would not leave us alone.
No, they wouldn't. And I remember I grabbed one. I, like, snatched one out of the sky. I was like,
oh,
yeah! I'm Muhammad Ali, motherfucker. Not really, but... the Nostalgia Critics review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, with Chris Stuckman. Chris Stuckman, one of my favorite movie reviewers out there. He does more short form, kind of like personally talking to the viewer. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Nostalgia Critic is more of a presentation. Mm-hmm. With skits and everything.
Right. Whereas
Chris Stuckman usually just does like some skits at the beginning, but during his reviews, he mostly just talks to you like person to person, just like now personally, I like this film, and you may not like some of the stuff that goes on in it, mm-hmm. Stuff like that. In which I like how he does his reviews. Him and Doug Walker teamed up for this review. This is once again Rogue One, a Star Wars story. What did you think of Rogue One?
I really enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of controversy over what was like reshot or what was cut out of the movie, because we saw a lot in the trailers that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And so I honestly think that there was probably I think in the original cut they what's spoilers? Starting now. I really feel like in the original version, everybody lived or something.
You think?
And then they were like, whoa, this is supposed to be a tragedy because, they just got the plans out and...
Everybody dies.
Yeah. Because, really, they had made the original movies a long time ago, so...
Yeah.
You can't really go back and retcon those.
No. Well, for me, one thing Gareth Edwards is a great director, very talented director. And they gave him this project, and here's what I'm noticing with these offshoot movies. The Han Solo movie ran into a roadblock here recently. Did you hear about that?
I follow a Star Wars page on some social media, and I saw some article headlines, but I never really got too deep into it.
Okay, well, the directors, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, mm-hmm. who directed 21 Jump Street and the Lego movie, they were tasked with doing a Han Solo movie. Now, they were given a lot of control over the cast, mm-hmm. over the script, and... but from the very beginning, Kathleen Kennedy expressed displeasure with how they were presenting, how they were presenting the script and everything. She especially did not approve of the ad-libbing that Lord and Miller liked to do on set. Because here's the thing: whenever it comes to big studios, you have to go through 20 people to change one line in the script.
Right.
Lord and Miller, they record the traditional script thing. Right. But they also do ad-libbing, small little ad-libbing, and changing things up to kind of fit what they feel the character would be like and more.
Well, also, the stakes are so high on this movie, so
well, they are high, but here's the thing: you have to put faith in some directors. Now, it may pan out and do great now, or it may do horrible and things go bad. Now, I know. They want to protect the Star Wars brand as much as possible. Mm-hmm. This is their biggest cash cow that they have. You talk about Marvel and the Avengers. Disney with one film in the Star Wars universe, the first one, the first Star Wars movie in their Disney Star Wars universe made $2 billion like that. Didn't even break a sweat. It is the highest grossing film in American history with almost $1 billion in ticket sales alone. That to me is astounding.
It's pretty serious.
Now, Rogue One, in its own right, did very good as well. It made, I believe, north of $400 million and made the company like almost $1 billion, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, and you know, Rogue One was done really well and everything, but I'd like to see the Gareth Edwards director's cut. I'd like to see what his version of the film would have been. And here's the thing: they don't have to worry about it anymore because they can just release it in in DVD format,
right,
and let people make up their own minds. It's just like what they did with the Rogue cut for X-Men: Days of Future Past, the version of the movie that included Rogue and several other diverging plot lines that actually, in a lot of people's opinions, actually made the film better.
I mean, I would love to see more of that because, I mean, they shoot a ton of film, and a lot of times they shoot extra scenes that they have to leave out just for, runtime.
Yeah, and also for film flow and everything. If a scene drags a little bit, during like an action scene, like near the end, and say that there's like a slow scene where the pace is dragging a little bit, but yet the character building that's going on is integral. They'll cut that for the sake of film flow because they don't want to break the audience's attention on that. And you see, what we got with Rogue One, we got great characters, a good amount of comedy. Actually, it was actually pretty funny. Especially, okay, I'll say this, and it's probably an unpopular opinion. Darth Vader and dad jokes.
That, honestly, I cringed. That really pulled me out.
You didn't like it either.
That pulled me out. I hated that because that was so out of character for Darth Vader. I physically cringed during that part of the movie.
I didn't. Okay, I didn't like that either.
That pulled me right out of the movie.
I didn't
was
like
like,
that either.
whoa.
See, Darth Vader is a man of few words. All he had to say to him was, "Get it done." That's all he had to say. That's all he has to say. He's Darth friggin' Vader.
And that was growing up with Star Wars and loving, 4, 5, and 6. That was what the disconnect was for me, seeing Anakin, because I'm like, okay, this is the person that becomes Darth Vader. And the characters, they were two different characters. And I didn't really understand the transition.
Well, first off, the whole thing with the midichlorians. Okay, I hope they retcon midichlorians. I hope they do because
I feel like they just I rewatched Clone Wars recently and they just sort of largely ignored that.
well, yeah, but it doesn't prevent it from not existing,
right? Because
people are always going to go back in canon. It's just like, well, what's their midichlorian count? Oh my God, shut up. Yeah. But for me, okay. For me, what you're talking about with the original series, or with the prequel trilogy, rather, compared to the original trilogy, you see the evolution of the characters. I'd say the one that they wrote best, who becomes the character, and I didn't feel like a full disconnect, was Obi-Wan.
I agree.
Ewan McGregor, Ewan McGregor did the best job in those films because he portrayed Obi-Wan as a young Jedi Knight. Wise but still a little headstrong, and then we see him in the Clone Wars, a Jedi Master who is still learning the ropes of being a master, but and wisecracks a little bit, which Obi-Wan did in Episode 4. He had his wisecracks as well with Han Solo, and it was just a great transition from the character we met in Episode 1 to the old man and mentor we met in Episode 4. Now, as you were talking about Darth Vader, the execution of the Anakin plotline, I think the biggest flaw in it is the writing. The biggest flaw in it is the writing because making Anakin a spoiled, I'm not going to say spoiled brat, but him just being like, in my opinion, all the time, just like...
He did act kind of like a brat, Clone Wars made up for a lot of it because I thought Anakin was written very well in that.
Well, yeah.
And they sort of played up his brashness and his willingness to bend the rules.
Well, you know what the problem was? Well, you know what the big thing about that was, right? It wasn't written by George Lucas. Yeah. See, it was actually another writer that was brought in, which actually, there was actually a little bit of script doctoring done in Episode 3 that actually made the dialogue better. That's why Episode 3 is considered to be the best. And I know we're going to get trashed because it's just like, I love the prequels. You know what? You can love the prequels all you want. I'm just expressing how I feel. And plus,
and honestly, like, I'll rewatch them and, like, I still enjoy them. I mean, there's like a nostalgia factor there now, and it's still Star Wars. Yeah. There are some things that I just,
yeah. And we watched the Nostalgia Critics top 11, good things about the Star Wars prequels, and
I thought it was a good list. Yeah,
for the most part, I agreed with them.
For me, I don't understand the character transition from Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader.
I didn't much
the way they did it, because at the end it just felt like they were cramming a square peg through a round hole.
Yeah, and okay, there was one scene that was in Episode 3. That, for me, if they would have written the Anakin character perfectly, to me would have been a keystone moment in the Star Wars franchise. When Anakin is like looking out the window of the Jedi, or of the, him and Padme are separated and they're looking at each other. That one scene that Doug talked about. Mm-hmm. I think that would have probably been the most important scene in the history of the Star Wars franchise, especially concerning Darth Vader, because of just how powerful that scene could have been. If they would have written Anakin better, if they would have written him to be, like, here's the thing that I think they could have done with Anakin, is they could have made him more mature, and he would have been paralyzed by the Jedi Order about, he wouldn't show much emotion even when his mother died. Mm-hmm. And you'd see little cracks in it. You'd see, like, little cracks in the veil that's been pulled over his eyes by the Jedi Order, and he would start to break a little bit, but he would still act mature about it. Mm-hmm. And Padme would be him being able to express himself. And imagine at the end of the Clone Wars, he opens up to Padme about how he feels about this, and he confides in her how he feels about the Jedi Order doing this, and pretty much forcing him to not emote, not be a human being.
Right.
And then eventually we see in Episode 3, he has that fear of losing Padme, the one person he can truly confide in. Mm-hmm. And if that would have been done that way, I think it could have been so much better. But hey, hindsight's 20/20. And well, we got this queued up here. Let's give it a watch, shall we? See what Doug Walker's got to say, and Chris Stuckman. In memory of Carrie Fisher. Yeah. It was sad hearing about that.
Yeah, it was so sudden too,
I know. I remember writing a tweet the day after she died, and people are still finding that tweet and liking it and retweeting it. It's just like, wow, a long time ago.
But not too
long ago. But, like...
No clocks.
That was one thing that they didn't do.
Wait a minute. Where's the crawl? And the Star Wars title? And the big music?
Well, it's a different kind of Star Wars movie. You see, this isn't part of the trilogies that span 3 generations. This is more of a spin-off film. It's a story that stands on its own, but also happens to be in the same universe. Hence the title, Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Okay, Chris, why the hell are you talking like that?
Like what?
Like I'm somehow in front of you, even though I'm clearly to your left.
That's just the Chris Stuckman tradition. I always address the camera with my edited thoughts. It's kind of
and those quick edits.
Yeah, well, how about the Star Wars way, and we have an opening crawl?
I told you, Chris.
See, the opening crawl, that didn't bother me.
Didn't me either.
Rogue One is the first of what is currently an unending series of Star Wars universe films. While the trilogies will continue to follow the stories of the characters we know and love from the first movie, these will be more background stories. Think of them as the appendix in The Lord of the Rings, a way to get more history of fictional events and characters. They're standalone films that give us more information on a world we can't get enough of. So the idea of cutting out the crawl is just a way to show it's one of the many side stories that's yet to come.
But we had another holiday theme, a Star Wars solstice. This is totally gonna ruin next year when we do a Star Wars feast day of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
This is just what Star Wars is now. It can't be any worse than the changes they made in the past.
No, this is my show and I want to crawl. Let her roll! Now that's more like
3.9.
Ow.
Hey, what's the holdup? I'm sorry, we're only making letters float through space. If you can think of a better way to make letters float through space, then I'd like to see it.
I don't think that's how you type.
I guess we're stuck here for a bit.
Hey, look! I'm a kitty cat!
While we're waiting for
Totally
the
violates
crawling
the NAP.
fixed, I guess we should go ahead and start the review.
You got it!
Stop that! This is Rogue One.
Poor guy. Critic is so mean.
Oh.
Sir, why do we park so far away?
So a young brunette girl with a British accent is separated from her family and she spends most of her life with no direction trying to cope with her tragic day.
Actually, that was Rey's character from Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah, duh. How'd I get those two mixed up? So a young brunette girl with a British accent is separated from her family and she spends most of her life with no direction trying to cope with that tragic day.
Not that Star Wars doesn't have a lot of repeat, but don't you think that's a little cut and paste?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess the young American guys didn't get enough attention.
Okay.
Fair enough.
After cheerfully accompanying the Rebel Alliance, Jyn is taken to their headquarters where one of the rebels named Cassian reveals that her father, Galen, is the architect of a new weapon called the Death Star.
The man who raised you named Saw.
His name is Saul.
Trust me, I forget all these names once the movie is over.
Ah,
Has secret information from your father. We're hoping you could infiltrate him to figure out what it is.
well, I don't want to, but I guess I have no choice.
Now, how long did it take to say all that? Less than a minute?
I guess.
So, why does it take us less than a minute and the movie a dozen minutes to say the same thing? This movie goes beyond taking its time. It stretches out so much info for a story that we already kind of have figured out. It's like watching it in slow-mo, yet they somehow talk in normal speech.
Some of it doesn't even add up. Like when this pilot named Rook wants to defect for the rebellion, yet Saw doesn't trust him. So they hook him up to a lie detector squid.
The squid can sense your feelings, your lies, your inner thoughts.
Okay. How does he do that?
I don't know.
Where did you find him?
I don't know.
Why does he want to help you out?
I don't know.
What do you do if I'm lying or not lying?
I don't know.
What do you know?
I really like tentacle hentai.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that this movie jumps all over the place. It seems like every other minute it cuts to a new planet or solar system.
I'm taking you to Rebel headquarters.
I'm taking you to find Saul.
That's a Trade Federation ship. That's ridiculous.
I'm taking you out to lunch. I completely forgot why we came here. That's right, lunch.
It's like they're trying to make a simple story seem bigger by constantly trying to seem angry and busy.
Ah, the George Costanza method.
Basically.
Damn.
Thankfully, their team is full of people who distract from that, like K2SO.
Who's kind of like C-3PO if they sucked out all the pussiness.
Greetings and salutations. I am C-3PO. Piss off, you pansy. Suck my deep black rod.
There's also a freedom fighter named Baze, whose philosophy is shoot first, ask questions in whatever this world calls hell.
Actually, I think it's just hell.
So this universe has both angels and hell, yet no Christianity.
Keep it a midichlorian church. And then, of course, there's the
That's the
blind warrior
midichlorian.
named... yeah, I'm just calling him Toph.
But the downside is,
Screw
while
you,
many
Critic.
of them are entertaining, we don't
I know
really
Toph's
much
awesome,
about
but come
them.
on.
We have no idea how these two know each other, why the pilot Rook defected, or why the hell Squidward was in this movie.
They already told they were caretakers of the Last Jedi Temple.
What was that? Why was that in the movie? Stop putting scenes with tentacles in your movies. They don't work.
I didn't like the
It's a good
Rathtars.
thing not knowing their stories, though, as when you do, it almost makes us less interested in them somehow.
I'm kind of angry with you.
I'm kind of angry with
I
you.
thought you were my kind of father.
I thought I kind of raised you.
I thought we had a kind of connection.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of. Wow, we went over everything and I feel like no attachment.
I'm not gonna miss you.
I was gonna say Malcolm is actually doing it. Malcolm actually did a pretty good job imitating Forrest Whitaker's character.
And Grand Moff Tarkin.
Wait a minute, how'd they do that if Peter Cushing is dead?
CG.
Oh, no, not.
That's right. Digital Talkin' Tarkin available now from Hasbro for only $14.95. Void where prohibited.
Oh, God! It's like Jeff Bridges from Tron Legacy mixed with Jim Carrey from A Christmas Carol.
Actually, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought they did a pretty good job with that.
I did too.
Sometimes.
I also really like Tron Legacy.
The CG is very impressive. It always looks like somebody's really there, but the uncanny valley distracts from ever fully accepting it.
Sometimes he looks convincing, but the rest of the time you'd swear they put the fake lips of John Lennon from Forrest Gump on there.
Make it so they have nothing left on that planet. No possessions, no religion. It's easy if you try, Dick. Dismiss.
Oh, good. At least the scene is over.
Oh, and don't forget, we have like 5 more meetings in the next 24 hours.
Oh! That's the other thing. He's in this film a lot. It kind of makes you wonder why they didn't just replace him with Darth Vader, who's only given less than 10 minutes in the movie. He's one of the most famous villains who always wears a mask. Why not use this guy as much as possible?
Well, to be fair, it might be because James Earl Jones's voice is sounding a little tired after doing it all these years.
Oh my God, are they still making these? Okay, where's the script? How many lines do I have? What? This it? Oh Christ, I was in the sand.
I was gonna say the Star Wars Rebels series, he sounds great in that.
Okay. Look here, General Critic. Critic? What the hell kind of name is that? It's like in one ear and out the other. Forgotten. I forgot I even said it.
That's Jolly Ranchers on
Just
his
don't have me
chest.
scream no, and we'll be good.
On Krennic's chest, that's Jolly Ranchers as a medal,
He's
as
Darth
badge.
Vader. We deserve more of him. Remember when this guy directed Aaron Taylor Johnson, also starring Godzilla?
Oh, that Godzilla movie that had almost no Godzilla.
Right.
Yeah, but to be fair, that movie had such bland main characters that just weren't that interesting and you couldn't get sucked into. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Well, the side characters work well enough. Our main leads are mostly pretty flat. It's almost like they were given direction to not be awful, but not be interesting either.
How do you know your father's not the enemy?
I saw his message. He's on our side.
Is that so?
Yes! I mean, yes. In a totally passable yet unexceptional way.
I am passionate about this, but not too passionate, in case we're all too tired at the end.
Right. So that people don't get too depressed, we can still market this as a deep yet enjoyable adventure.
I wonder if that was Gareth Edwards or if that was Disney.
Okay! I mean, okay.
I think that's a little harsh, but
I wonder if that's Gareth Edwards or Disney that did that.
I don't know.
Huh. Who knows? Maybe he saw the stuff in Godzilla and was like, you know, let's make them more interesting.
Empire, as once again, it doesn't seem as emotionally investing as it probably should be.
Jin, I put a weakness in the Death Star so small that they'll never notice it. In fact, it's so small that every time they build a new one, it'll have the exact same weakness.
Really,
That's not true.
They use Jolly Ranchers for badges. The Renegades stars in the solar system.
Yes!
Okay, I'm dead now.
No, Father, whatever.
Upon finding out the rebels don't want to sneak in to get the plans for the Death Star, our team decides to go it alone and get it themselves.
You on that ship. What's going on?
Everything's under control. Situation normal. Had a slight weapons malfunction, but we're perfectly fine here. We're all fine here now. Thank you.
Now that scene was improv that Han did.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford did.
Our name?
Just think of something, hurry!
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Rogue One? That sounds like a so-so comic series that was never given time to bloom.
Well, it makes more sense than just coming up with it out of the blue. Boring conversation anyway. We're getting company!
So Rogue One goes to the Empire's base to steal the plans. The rebels eventually end up joining them, and
You know how Force Awakens was friggin' awesome, but the climax was kind of meh?
Rogue One was kind of meh, but the climax was friggin' awesome.
Yes, it was.
If you want to know the truth, we haven't gotten a great space battle since Return of the Jedi. We did eventually get a good Star Wars film, but the space battles were still usually too busy with too much clutter going on.
This follows one ship at a time again, making it feel like you're
Good.
there. In fact, a lot of it really feels like you're in the action because of the exciting, even realistic way it's shot.
But doesn't just stop there. It moves it to the next level.
You know how in Return of the Jedi they smash a Star Destroyer, which, by the way, never destroys any stars? Ironic, because they have a weapon that destroys planets. In fact, doesn't Death Star and Star Destroyer kind of mean like the same thing? Anyway, you remember how it smashed into the Death Star in a giant blaze? Well, in this one, a ship pushes in just the right place, crashes into another Star Destroyer, which crashes into the shield blocking the planet, and just before another one shows up, crashing into a dozen other ships! It's amazing!
It's pretty awesome.
It was awesome,
It
yeah.
does still raise the question, though. If Vader is in this movie, why isn't he down there on that beach kicking ass?
Hello? Sand?
Oh, right. He hates sand.
It's so coarse and rough and irritating.
Oh, shut up, Lucas.
He has posters like all over the place. How
I hate sand.
I guess I'll have to go down there.
don't you have like a million stormtroopers?
Yeah, but I can actually hit something.
Aww. He's honest.
Darth Vader comes back.
My God, does he come back?
Just when you think he contributed nothing to this movie.
He comes aboard one of the ships and is like,
I have come to deliver the most awesome scene in the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this is nothing. This is literally nothing. I can do this with no hands. Watch. My saber is also great at making people shorter.
Oh no.
Oh!
And you belong on the ceiling. Check it out. I'm not even looking at you. That's how easy this is. I'm so cool. Look at his punk ass. Looks like rubber Kool-Aid. Oh, that's right, bitches. I'm stopping that with my hand. With my goddamn hand. But you know what they say. What goes in must come out. Out my ass. Okay, here we go, everybody. Fucking amazing.
Just run.
Oh, what you gonna do? Shit's getting hot in here, huh? Oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna duke it out. You're a tough guy, huh? Oh, I'm so scared. Darth Vader's gonna die from your pussy fist. You're gonna save the galaxy with those hands, right? Oh, wait, I forgot I can choke a bitch. Dark side, motherfuckers.
Mic drop. Yeah.
yeah, that was the greatest Darth Vader scene in all movie history.
Yes.
Despite all the film's flaws, it gave us 2 solid minutes of holy shitness.
And speaking of flaws, there's still a few before we wrap up. Like how the emotional highlight is supposed to be the death of our 2 leads. You're not really gonna lose sleep over.
You won't miss us.
But you didn't dislike us either.
Our job is complete.
And because the Tarkin wasn't freaky enough, we also get a CGI Princess Leia to top it all off.
Oh, Christ, just tell me they do it better than Tarkin.
Sometimes it looks better, and sometimes it looks worse. It's kind of weird.
How long is she on screen?
About 10 seconds.
How can there be such a drastic change in only 10 seconds? That's not bad. Very good. Okay. That's not too bad.
What? It wasn't that bad.
No, it was not.
That's very good.
That's a little better.
We have a new hope.
You need an exorcist. Thus the rebels head off with the plans and the film comes to a close. And we were in this too! And that was Rogue One.
The most above-average Star Wars prequel. The film has famously gone through rewrites and reshoots, and it clearly shows. A lot of the time it feels all over the place, but some of the places they go to have some great atmosphere and action. The biggest problem is the characters aren't as memorable or fun as some of the other films, meaning it doesn't feel as large or epic. There's certainly problems with it, but it's hard to say there aren't a lot of cool scenes that overshadow them.
It's not fun per se, but it is cool. It's definitely more aggressive than like an actual war, and that oftentimes makes the world feel more real. It never quite goes too aggressive, but it doesn't really take any chances either. There's no surprises, and you get exactly what you'd expect, but what I expected wasn't that bad, so I enjoyed myself fine. It's a perfectly okay movie.
Oh good, they got the crawl working.
It's about time.
Blue elephant in Jabba's palace, a bald guy from Cloud City, even a little toy car. Empire Command is on the way. Wow, crap, did I just write that? Don't put this in the movie.
You know, this does raise a good question. What if we do get too many Star Wars movies? I mean, before, Star Wars was gigantic, whether it was loved or hated. But what if it just becomes okay? What if it's not great, not awful, it's just average? What if it becomes like every other franchise?
You know, before the prequels, there were a lot of cool Star Wars stories. Books, video games, comics, and a lot of them had a wide variety of acceptance. Some were great, some were awful, some were just okay. So you see, Critic, Star Wars was a franchise before it was a franchise.
Huh, I never thought of it like that. And yeah, we'll always have the original movies, ish. I guess that does count for something.
You know, Critic, no matter what, Star Wars will always be special.
But will we ever get a Darth Vader scene as cool as the one in this movie?
Probably not.
Look, Darth Vader's one of the best villains of all time. They could do anything with him. Who knows what's on the horizon that is Star Wars.
Like what?
Oh, okay, I felt like we were at a good spot there. It was a good spot to stop.
Really? I wasn't feeling that. I wasn't
Okay,
feeling
you
that.
weren't feeling that.
Like what? Like what?
They could CG a cartoon face on B. Arthur.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, okay, we'll stop there.
More.
Okay, I really need an out. I need an out.
Jesus!
Yeah, I can fly too, bitches.
I'm Chris Stuckman, and I can breathe in space for some reason.
So, I mean, Vader does have magnetic boots, but I'm not sure why he's on the bottom of the Star Destroyer like that. That seems kind of weird. I mean, I know there's no up in space, but... Right?
There is no up in space, so... It's really only when you're on an interior where artificial gravity is...
I just feel like if he was like going to bust a move on the Star Destroyer, he'd do it in front of the bridge.
Oh.
Dude, that's it. We're done. Nothing more. That's the last review of the year. I don't know what else you're expecting. That's it. We're done.
I'll see you in January. Wait a minute. Next month is January. You know what that means? Sequel-mon! The sequel!
Oh, no. Oh, he's realizing it.
Toy critics.
Side, motherfuckers.
Oh, man.
Well, there you go. Alright, so let's get that down there. Alright, so For me, all right, I'll say this. I'm the critics worry about more Star Wars movies and everything. I think if it's done right, well, okay. Do you agree that the lead characters were fairly bland in Rogue One?
I mean, to a point, but I mean, I like the story they were telling, and I really enjoyed the movie. So I felt like they were being a little harsh there, because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, in A New Hope, like, I mean, the characters, like the acting and stuff. I mean, it wasn't super polished because they really didn't know what was going to happen or if they were going to get to make any more.
Well, you think about A New Hope in the beginning. It's just like Carrie Fisher doing like a fake British accent. Should have recognized your foul speech when I was brought on board. It's like,
so I don't really think any one character really super carried the movie. It's just
Han Solo, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was probably had the most force of personality. Yeah. But that's the thing is, like, what Rogue One did for me is it kind of made the Star Wars universe feel real again. Because the prequel trilogy, I mean, it's like, I mean, they had a lot of crazy effects and stuff, but I don't know, all of it felt a little cheap. Because they just threw too much all over it.
Well, I was going to say, what about Episode 7? I mean, Episode 7...
Seven did really well. But, I mean, that was kind of... I mean, that's years later after the story has been told that I grew up with. So this... I mean, I felt like this fit right in line with, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And even though the effects were updated, it I don't know. I think it felt right.
I hear you. And
I mean, that's not really an argument. It's just...
Well, okay. We talked about the Han Solo movie. Let's see. All right, so... Ron Howard?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he was coming in as the director of it. I didn't realize they were bringing him in. That's...
Mm-hmm.
Damn. You gotta say, that's actually... It's actually pretty cool. Because, I was going to say, did you know about that?
Yeah, I'd heard about it.
Shit. Okay. Here's my thing about Ron Howard. He's done good. He's done good with a lot of really good movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about, let's see. I'm worried, okay. I'm letting my brain do a lot of work that doesn't need to be done. So I'm just gonna stop myself. But okay. So all right. The Han Solo film I think is in more of a, development hell than Rogue One was. I'd say if this is actually successful, could you imagine them doing another one? Another Han Solo movie? Because that's the one thing about Han Solo. He is so popular in the Star Wars lore.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, they're getting a talented young cast here. I mean, they got Alden Ehrenreich, they got Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, which I love that casting.
Right.
I love that Donald Glover's playing Lando Calrissian, and I love Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. But I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot of potential here for them to keep going with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. See, this is my brain going off in about 1,000 different directions, saying it's gonna go this way. No, it's gonna go this way. No, it's gonna go this way. It's just like, oh gosh. Sometimes my brain even like tires myself out, and I just have to tell my brain to shut up. So shut up. Okay.
I mean, it's still gonna be a while, right?
May 25th. That's the deadline.
Okay.
They got just over 10 months to finish production on this, which honestly, I've seen some films that go through rushed productions and they turn out okay, but when it talks about reshoots,
right?
You know, like full reshoots, because from what I'm understanding, Kathleen Kennedy didn't like anything of what Lord and Miller were doing. So, and also, you know what the interesting thing about Lord Miller getting taken off of this? They're now going over to DC to direct the Flash film. They're trying to. They're trying, because originally they were going to, but then it got stuck in developmental hell, and they said, okay, what other projects are available? Oh, there's a Star Wars movie. We're in. And I was gonna say, if they go over to DC, that kind of gives, I guess, the Flash movie a little bit of an edge on that.
Right.
But,
well, I mean, if they're not the right pick for it, I mean, you know.
Well, go on.
No, I'm just saying, like, I mean, you know, they may do really well by Star Wars, or I mean, if you know, if they're trying to be too adventurous with it, I mean, you know, they got to protect the brand, I guess.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Han Solo as a character was made a lot from Harrison Ford's portrayal. Which used a lot of ad-libbing on the go. As a matter of fact, you know what Han Solo's most famous line is?
Well, he said, "I know."
Yeah,
and that he was supposed to. The script said, "I love you," but he said they tried it a few times and he said it didn't feel right, so he said, "I know."
I know. And that's perfectly Han Solo right there. And also, like you said, the situation normal.
Yeah,
we're all fine here. How are you?
Yeah. Well, and they did that intentionally. They wanted him to ad-lib that, from what I understand, so it would sound, you know, like. Yeah,
but he mostly got his character from Harrison Ford's improvisation. So you figure that if you're telling the origin story, you'd let a little ad-libbing go. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we don't know what all the problems are. I mean, if it's just a little ad-libbing, because I mean, there is ad-libbing, but you still have to take some direction with the ad-libbing. Like,
no, I get that. You know, you have to stay on task.
So I mean, we're not in the inner circle, so we don't know what this looks like or why they left. I mean, we just know that they did leave.
Yeah.
And we're not really sure what the reasons are. So.
Yeah, we'll have to see when this comes out. So, I was gonna say yeah, this was interesting though. Rogue One, the Nostalgia Critics review, also Chris Stuckman getting involved. I liked this. I liked this a lot, and I was gonna say, if there's any more Nostalgia Critic reviews out there that you all want us to react to, then feel free to let us know. Also, don't forget to check out the original video down in the description down below. Also, don't forget to check out our various other endeavors. And signing off, I'm Nate.
Micah.
We'll see you later, everyone. Peace out.